If you're receiving this transmission, you are the resistance, declaring war on the New World Order. TruthRadioShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dan Bidondi, host of the Dan Bidondi Show on TruthRadioShow.com. Now, Friday the 13th historically is known as this unlucky day, this day of bad luck. They made movies on this. There's so much stupidstition I call it, involved with this. When they build buildings, they don't like to put a 13th floor. They go from 12 to 14, whatever the case is. And the number 13, a lot of people just want to be disassociated with it as much as possible. Now, all this superstition, all this stuff about Friday the 13th, where did it all come from? Well, it came from a date, October 13th of 1307. And it was originated from when the Order of the Knights Templar Grand Master Jacques de Molay. Now, a lot of people don't even know what the Order of the Knights Templar are, and some people who do, but they have very limited knowledge of the Knights Templar because we know Hollywood, even the Disney Channel and all them, Hollywood, history books, the History Channel loves to glorify the Knights Templar as they were some great crusade and everything else, but you got to find out the whole cold-hearted truth about the Knights Templar. So anyway, their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, who happens to, we're going to get into that later, who de Molay was and everything else. But I just typed out a report earlier, I put it on Facebook there and everything else, so I'm just going to read it here. Grand Master Jacques de Molay was burned alive at the stake, and before his death, he cursed Pope Clement V and King Philip V of France to death. And as he's burning alive, he said, before this year's end comes to an end, both of them, King Philip V and Pope Clement, would die. And surely they did before the year ended. Both of them ended up dead. So this became known as the Jacques de Molay curse. Now, again, Jacques de Molay, he was the Grand Master of the Order of the Knights Templar. And why was he put to death? We're going to get into that in a minute. So regardless of what you heard and seen on the History Channel, history books, mainstream media, especially Hollywood, who glorify the Knights Templar started off as a Christian crusade, and started off as very poor men, and they were like the medieval warriors, but quickly grew in size and eventually became very corrupt and funded by the Catholic Church, becoming the henchmen, basically, doing the Catholic Church's dirty works, the dirty biddings and all that, and basically they would go around as henchmen for the Catholic Church, the Vatican and everything. So the Knights Templar were not a society of God at all. I mean, they started off as a good cause, but after they became very corrupt, evil, they practiced sodomy, which is homosexuality. That was very common in the Knights Templar. And they got into dark practices of magic and the occult. And they started this where the Baphomet came from. Baphomet became from the Knights Templar. It was a man by Eliphas Levi, who created Baphomet. As you see the Baphomet statues everywhere. He created that based off an ancient Egyptian deity, which is also an arcane image and deity of Satan himself. So the Templars were very high into the occult, practitioners of dark magic and other occult practices, and they were the backbone of today's Freemasonry. They are the backbone, I should say. We're going to get to that in a second, but most of the Templars at the time when the truth of the Templars came out. And now I know the TV, the History Channel, that loves to condemn King Philip as he just made these accusations up. People came to attest how good the Knights Templars were. They're trying to justify how, to say the Knights Templar were good people and they wrongfully were put to death. And they'll defend the Knights Templar to the end of the moon. You know what I mean? The History Channel does this, especially Hollywood. They glorify the Knights Templar. And anything the elite and these big people in Hollywood glorify is always the opposite. So anyway, most of the Templars, at the time when it was discovered what they were actually doing, who they actually were, King Philip the Fair, I mean, he wasn't a perfect guy, but you know what, he did not like what was going on. And and people say, well, he felt threatened by the Templars, that's why he had him killed wrongfully. No, that's not the case. What happened? Because the Templars were very evil men, and they still are to this day, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. But most of the Templars were hunted down for this and slayed by King Philip the Fair of France. And at the time, the new Pope Clement V, who turned on his own people. So basically, why he cursed Pope Clement? Because people say, well, how could he work for the Vatican? And also, you know, this is Jacques de Molay, the Knights Templar, work for the Vatican and also be slain by, but we cursed Pope Clement, I'm sorry. Because Pope Clement, to save face to the European leaders, he disinvolved any involvement with the Knights Templar. Say, oh, no, it's a conspiracy there. We don't have nothing to do with the Knights Templar. They're nothing to do with us at all. So, and basically denied them all. And this, it goes all through history. Every time you, just say you hire somebody to go kill somebody, like assassin. First rule of assassination is you eliminate the person who committed the assassination. Or you give them up, or, say, hey, this is the guy who did it, even though you paid him to do it. And you deny everything, and this guy gets the rap for it. And it goes on today with many things. But most of us believe that the Pope turned on his own henchmen to save face again because of the European leaders. They wanted to save face the Catholic Church so they didn't get criminalized or looked frowned upon of being part of this. Now, the stuff that goes on in the the Vatican and Catholic Church, very evil, dark stuff all through history. And every time when the spotlight got turned on them, they denied everything and they sacrificed their own people to save face to the public. So anyway, this is where all this came from. So, and why the number 13? Why is it, the thing is, it was on Friday the 13th, yes. And also, if you actually study the number 13, in the Bible and in the gematria is occult numerology. Similar to Pythagoras numerology, it's almost the same thing, whatever. But in gematria and also in the Bible, 13 signifies the number of rebellion. That's where all this come from too. That's part of what was going on today. But and to this very day, superstition. I mean, again, when I was talking about earlier, the number 13 has evolved to some of the ridiculous things. People refuse to have a locker number 13 or parking space number 13 or whatever number 13, uniform number 13. I was on a high school wrestling team, and that was the 13th weight class. And I had 13 in my uniform, and actually probably good luck because I won state championships or whatever. But, and people just go beyond ridiculousness of 13. They don't want nothing to do with the associated. If they even have 13 on the license plate, some people demand the registry to change it. You know what I mean? That's how ridiculous this thing goes. And you just want to point out, too, people of God, you need to understand, okay? The number of 13, sure, it means rebellion. Sure, it's evil number in the occult. But the number itself is not going to curse you. Okay, you're not going to get cursed if you build a building and you actually name the floor 13. There's no bad luck in that at all. And that's all superstition. And the people who do have bad luck is just people who are not of God and people who just believe in the crap, and it dwells in them and it manifests in them because they actually believe in it. So today, even the history books claim that the Knights Templar were abolished by King Philip the Fair of France. That couldn't be further from the truth because, again, you'll hear on History Channel 2 and everything else, all the Templars, they were abolished and no more. They were all killed off. No, that's not the case. Okay, because the remaining Knights Templar went underground and eventually merged with other secret societies because at the time, this was the same time, mind you, right? Same time, because the Vatican, very evil and corrupt, okay? And I don't mean no disrespect to you Catholics out there, but this is what your church's history is about, okay? The Illuminati, okay? The Illuminati was at the same time the Illuminati would be hunted down and killed. The Druids, the Jacobins, even people were going after so much as the Rosicrucians, which is the Order of the Rosy Cross. All right, many secret societies were being hunted down because The plans of the Illuminati got exposed. At the same time, the dirt on the Knights Templar being exposed. Now these secret societies were like, oh boy, we got to do something. Okay, and I did a whole history on the Illuminati and everything else, and these occult. So basically, they all had almost the same outcome of being hunted down, the same outcome of being chastised about through the public, saying revealed to how evil these organizations really were, and it goes a long way. So basically, what happened was, at the time they had this place called the Mother Lodge in England. I'm sorry, and it was the birth of what's today called Freemasonry. So people already knew about Freemasonry. Okay, they expected a little from it. You know what I mean? The public already knew. Even John Robinson in his book, Proofs of a Conspiracy, talk about this. He was a member of the Illuminati Masonry back then, and he revealed everything that was going on. So I suggest you get that book. But anyway, when all this stuff was going on, these societies got revealed for what they and who they truly were. So now, the remaining ones who were not killed off, they went underground, and this is all the secret societies at the time, not just the Templars. They all merged together, and I believe it was 1789, they all merged together in the castle of Wilhelmsbad to become a secret society within the secret society. They took Masonry, the Mother Lodge, and it became Freemasonry after this. Now, Freemasonry, again, people already knew what Freemasonry was. They expected a little from it. So what they did was they became a secret society, all merged. Druids, the Jacobins, the Rosicrucian Order, the Illuminati, the Knights Templar, all joined together into one organization and became a secret society within the secret society. So everybody was already familiar with the Masons, but not too familiar because a lot of the Masonic stuff is very secret. So now, within the own order of the Masonic lodges, even to this day, most Masons have no clue who these people are or even this inner circle even exists. So this goes on to today. So they hid within the secret society, and that's how they gained steam. And also these secret societies go a long way. They play into all through history, American and European history. They're funded by the Rothschilds, which is the world's biggest banking cartel. And for the sake of the video, I'm not going to go through it all right now. I'm just going to tell you just about try to stick just to the Knights Templar. So Knights Templar, they never went away. They're still around to this day. They practice the dark occults. Okay, then you get some diluted history that they protect the cup of Christ, okay? Then the bloodline of Christ. There's a lot of misinformation going around what the Knights Templar are actually doing, okay? And there's this false information that Jesus had a bloodline. That's where the whole Dan Brown thing came in. The Knights Templar covering up the bloodline of Jesus, the royal families and all that. And there's no bloodline of Jesus Christ. Okay, Jesus did not have children with Mary Magdalene. Has no significance in the occultic world nor the biblical world of Jesus even having. Even if he did, it makes no significance of what's to come in the future. So they protect this royal bloodline, which is actually the bloodline of the Antichrist. So later on, they could claim he comes from the Antichrist when he comes to power. He's a direct descendant of the bloodline of David. Just like Jesus, he claims to be the same thing Jesus is. Claims to come from that royal bloodline when he doesn't come from that. It comes from the bloodline of the Antichrist. See, the Templars at the top know this, okay? And they tell the lower levels this and the diluted version that gets out to the public. This is what they believe, that they're protecting the bloodline of Jesus. That's the real Grail, they call it. Then the other story is like they protect, you've seen the Indiana Jones of the Last Crusade, how they protected the actual cup of Christ that caught his blood during the crucifixion. And then water came out, when they stabbed him and everything. So, there's so many stories, so many interpretations of reality. And the thing is, they would never let the truth out to the public about any of the stuff. And when the truth does come out, they dilute other things just to confuse the public. And the Knights Templar, they're nothing to glorify about at all. The Knights Templar are not a Christian organization. In fact, they actually killed countless numbers of Christians because for the longest time during the Inquisition, the Dark Ages, the Catholic Church outlawed the Bible. You were not allowed to possess a Bible at all. Only the priests were. So what happened was King James, this is where the King James and the Tyndale Bible, Martin Luther Bible, and all these Bibles came along. The Protestant Reformation, they started pushing the Bible out in English. So King James, okay, he wasn't a perfect man. He couldn't stand the rule of the Catholic Church. So they purposely put out the Bible in English. And at the time, the Catholic Church was ordering their henchmen, and even the Knights Templar as well, to go around and kill Christians and Jews, or anybody at that who would not convert to Catholicism, and especially possessing the Bible, especially an English Bible. They went out and hunted people like Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, the older Martin Luther. And so they went out, Charles Tyndale and all these other people who brought the Bible to you in English, you know what I mean? And King James could not stand the rule of the Vatican, so he did this out of spite of the Pope. Because the Pope, tried to command everybody around. He goes, no, we're going to push it out in English. So he took the King Philip there. King James used the scribes to translate from the original Hebrew scripture as best as they could. They took dozens of them to all come up to say, like, we're going to translate each one at a time to the best way in English we know how. And if it was so much as one thing off, they would have destroyed the entire book and start from scratch. Then they mass-produced this, and thank God for the printing press coming out and everything. They mass-produced the Bible and put it out in English all through Europe, and eventually came here, the Bible and all that. So at the time, the Catholic Church was killing millions. Now, there's another misinterpretation in history you'll hear. Oh, if God's so good, why did Christians kill all those people during the Inquisition? No. Christians did not kill anybody during the Inquisition. It was the Catholic Church that were actually killing Christians during the Inquisition for possessing the Bible, and Christians, Jews, or anybody that would not convert to Catholicism. That's what happened, okay? And there's a lot of misinterpretation out there of what's going on. This is the truth. This is the real historical truth, and that's how it is, you know what I mean? So, again, the remaining Knights Templar, they never went anywhere. They are still around today. So, Jacques de Molay, it's kind of interesting, right? So, anybody that knows anything or a little bit about Freemasonry, they have an order for black people. It's called the Prince Hall for black folks. The Order of the Eastern Star, created by Aleister Crowley, for women. The Job's Daughters is for women as well, young girls, I'm sorry. Then they have the de Molays for young boys. And de Molays was named after Jacques de Molay, who was a friend, again, a famous French Freemason, and he was the Grand Master of the Knights Templar. And Jacques de Molay, he was heavy into the occult, into sodomy, into pedophilia, and it's kind of derogatory. It's ironic that they would name a young boys organization in the Masonic Lodge after a man like that. Unreal. And so if you got your children involved in any of this stuff, folks, and I'm not saying Freemasons are bad people. In fact, most Freemasons have no idea about any of this stuff. It takes them years and thousands of dollars of ritual fees and everything else to go up to the ranks, to the degrees, to actually learn this stuff. And most good Freemasons, that are good people, that want to stay with God, they stay on that path. And that's why they'll never become part of the adept, part of that perfectly carved cornerstone that they want you to be. And that's why they'll never get that far, or be invited into the higher orders. And sure, could a Christian become a 33rd degree? Absolutely. That's Grand Sovereign General. Absolutely they could, but they'll never go to the adepts of where they really want you to be. There's higher levels above the public known means of Freemasonry. So that being said, again, just because you're a friend or whoever's a Freemason doesn't mean they're a bad person. Again, there are many great people out there who are Freemasons, and they're not all evil. Just people at the very top, at the order. That's why it's called the craft for a reason. And it's kind of, again, ironic that they would name the young boys organization called the de Molays after Jacques de Molay. It's kind of ironic because this guy was into pedophilia. He was into all kinds of disgusting, vile, occultic garbage. And anything to do with the occult means secret. That's what the occult means. It's secret. And it's all perverted, literally perverted, sexual, twisted mirror image to everything of what God teaches and everything else. So that's why in Freemasonry you learn a lot about secret society. About King Solomon's Temple. They mention Hiram Abiff. Tubal Cain, and you learn about a lot of biblical people, and eventually learn it's nothing to do with the Bible at all. It's to do with the dark levels of the occult. And then most Masons sometimes it takes them their entire life and their journey in the Masonic Lodge to eventually learn they're actually a Templar. They belong to the Knights Templar. And that's why you'll see Knights Templar memorabilia or whatever garb they have in the Masonic Lodges. It's not publicly displayed, no, but they'll have shields, and that cross on the Knights Templar. A lot of people who say that's a Christian cross. No, it's a cross of Baal, okay? It's Baal worship. That cross there, you see it in Catholic churches still. It's not a Christian cross. It's a cross of Baal. And that's the same cross they had on the Mayflower, and same cross they had on the ships that came here and everything else. And, Christopher Columbus was also a Knights Templar too. John Dee, also a Knights Templar, that came here well before Columbus was even born. So, and Columbus himself was a Knights Templar. Okay, there's a lot of stuff about the Knights Templar people are not familiar with. Again, the Knights Templar here in the state of Rhode Island, long before Columbus was even a thought in his father's eye. So, right here in my own state, so we're going to be doing explicit videos on that, showing you the archaeological evidence. I'm tongue-tied, it's late at night. So the archaeological evidence of the Knights Templar being here in Rhode Island. So it's a very intriguing story, it really is. But anyway, that's your story, where the Friday the 13th come from, what it means, who it resembles, and again, I'm reaching out to people. The number 13 is not going to crush you. If you got 13 on your car or whatever the case, don't worry about it, because people of God don't have to worry about a stupid number. You know what I mean? And the only time 13 is actually powerful is for those who venerate it. Okay, and that's into the occultic world and everything else. So anyway, this is Dan Bidondi for TruthRadioShow.com. Have a good weekend. God bless and shalom. Declaring war on the New World Order. TruthRadioShow.com.